So let's start here with 37. Give an approximate counting number answer to each question. Find the least counting number that will work. So this is the case where you may not come up with a whole number, but the answer has to be a whole number. So you round up or down depending upon the situation. So here, problem number 37 says pages to store trading cards. A plastic page designed to hold trading cards will hold up to 9 cards. How many pages will be needed to store 563 cards? So you might say, well, the number of pages is equal to the number of images divided by 9, because you can get 9 cards per page. If you put that in your calculator, 563 divided by 9, you get 62.5 something. 55. So you can't have a fraction of a page, so all you have to do is round up. So the answer would be 63 pages. So you'll have 62 pages which are full, and then you'll have a partially filled page. Let's look at 39. A gardener wants to fertilize 800 African violets. Each container of fertilizer will supply up to 60 plants. How many containers will she need to do the job? So again, let's say container. So we have 800 violets. We have then a container of fertilizer with 60 plants. So we get 800 divided by 60. So we get 13.33 containers. So they won't sell as a partial container, so we have to say, okay, we're going to round it up to 14 containers. Okay, now we're going to do some estimating. So let's start with 42. Time for a round trip. The distance from Seattle, Washington to Springfield, Missouri is 2,900 miles. So let's call that distance is 2,009 miles. About how many hours would a round trip from Seattle to Springfield and back take a bus that averages 50 miles per hour for the entire trip? So this is the distance one way, so the total trip, called T, the total trip is 2 times D. A lot of people forget that. So that would be 4,018, but what we're going to do is we're going to round off to 4,000. And then what we do is to estimate, all you have to do is take the total distance and divide by the miles per hour, which would be 50 miles per hour. So we divide by 50. So 4,000 divided by 50, and we could use a calculator, but what we need to do is simplify this, and you can cancel out the last zeros if there are zeros on it. So that becomes the same as 400 divided by 5. And 400 divided by 5, you're like, oh, I don't know what to do. But if you did 40 divided by 5, what would that be? 40 divided by 5 is 8. So 400 divided by 5, which is 10 times as much, would be 80. So we would say it takes about 80 hours. Okay, let's do 45. In 2009, Brandon Marshall of the Broncos caught 101 passes for 1,120 yards. Approximate his number of yards gained per catch. And if you look at the answers, we've got 3 answers. We've got 1/11th, we have 110, we have 1.1, and we have 11th. So if you know anything about football, you'd say, well, hopefully it's not 11th of the yard per catch, or the guy is out of there. 110 yards per catch. Obviously, that's more than a football field. 1.1 yards per catch, that's not very good either. So if the guy's a professional football player, he's going to have at least 11. So just from that perspective, you would know the answer. But the other way to do it would be to take 1,120 divided by 101 yards. But, and we could use a calculator, we get an exact number, but what we're talking about here is approximating. So if 1,120 approximated is just 1,100, and if 101 is approximately 100, so then you'd simplify this down by crossing out zeros. And you get 11 divided by 1, which is 11. Okay, let's do one more. Actually, we're out of those kinds of problems, so let's go to the next one. Let's do all 47 through 50. So we have a pie circle graph or pie graph showing the approximate percentage of immigrants admitted into the United States during the 1990s. Use the graph to answer the questions. What percentage of the immigrants were from the other category? Okay, so we look at other and say, well, there's no number. So what do we do? Well, we know that the total pie has to equal 100. So to do 47, we take 100 and we subtract off all the other ones. So we have 100 minus 52, which is Latin America, minus 13, which is Europe, minus 30, which is Asia. And let's add these numbers together. 52 plus 13 is 65, plus 30 is 95, so we'd have 100 minus 95, which would be 5%. Okay, problem number 48. What percentage of the immigrants were not from Asia? Well, the percentage of immigrants not from Asia is 100 minus the percent of immigrants from Asia. So not from Asia is equal to all the immigrants minus the ones from Asia. And we use this principle a lot, more so probably in the second semester. So you get 100 minus the percentage from Asia, which is 30, and so that's 70%. Now you could have added the other ones up. The other way to do it would be take 13 plus 52 plus 5, and that ends up to be 70%, so you get the same answer. But this one's a little easier because you only have to take one number, 30, and subtract it from 100, which is pretty easy. 49. In a group of 2 million immigrants, how many would you expect to be from Europe? Well, percentage is the number of a certain condition divided by the total number. And so to find, so you could say that we have Europe, so 0.13, which is decimal equivalent of 13%, is equal to the number of immigrants how do I spell that? Two M's. From Europe, E there, divided by the total number. Well, we're given a total number. It's 2 million immigrants. So this is going to be 2 million. This will be 0.13. So the number of immigrants from Europe, is equal to the decimal equivalent times the total number, which is 2 million. And that's going to be 260,000 immigrants. And then 50, in a group of 4 million immigrants, how many more would there be from Latin America than all the other regions combined? So we have 52% times, how many immigrants do we have total? 4 million. So that would be the number of Latin American immigrants. The number of non-Latin American immigrants would be equal to the rest of them, which is 0.48, because these have to add up to be 100. And so we take 0.52 times 4 million, 2,080,000. If you take 0.48 times 4 million, you get 1,902,000. If we subtract these two, so we subtract that from that, so we take 2,080,000 minus 1,920,000, and we get 160,000. Now that would be one way of doing it. The other way of doing it, which would be easier probably, is to take the difference between these two, which is 0.04, 0.52 minus 0.48, and then multiply that directly by 4 million. And you know, 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 4 million would be 16 million, but then you have these 2 decimal points, so you'd actually move it 2 decimal points. And anyway, you end up with 160,000. So you have to do a little bit. This part you can do in your head. This part is not so easy.